What is up, Scrub fam? I am back. I am here with another Meta Talks going over this past Super Weekend. We had multiple events happen. We had plenty of data to extrapolate from those events. We had plenty of things to look at as we move forward in this juicy, somewhat solved metagame, and you guys will figure out what that is going forward, and when we do our format level check. But anyways, before I get started, let me give a shout out to my sponsor, Bearded Collectibles. Alec Pastrana is the best shop owner on the planet. If you're looking at your sealed product, you go through Bearded Collectibles and Alec Pastrana. You're going to get the best customer service as well as the best prices on all your sealed product. And also, be sure to check out the Patreon if you're looking for additional articles and content on a daily basis, provided by myself, as well as Pat O'Neill making some cameos in general, as well as the hashtag Pat's Discord, the legendary Discord. Be sure to get your content, as well as be able to check out your t-shirts from 3HG Productions on beardcollectibles.com. Anyway, enough with the plugs. I know you guys are sensitive about plugs. But anyway, this past weekend was a good weekend for Dragon Ball Super. We had multiple events going on. We had Pai Games. They came out and formed a team too, which is kind of dope. Shout out to Alejandro Sangiao on another team. He's going to win a lot of awards, maybe like six man of the year or something for multiple teams. Probably never be done before, but it's pretty insane. So we had that event happen. We also had Toronto Regionals happen, which was a pretty cool event. Then, of course, we had just a bunch of events happen. We had Puerto Rico had their regional, just tons of coverage. And I'm still waiting for the data for Puerto Rico's regional to come out. I watched some of the coverage, but in general, I want some of the data to actually come out. But in general, we can go ahead and get started on a few things. So let's go ahead and do what we always do. We're going to talk about the winners of the weekend. People named Jordan, winners of the weekend. The Pai Games winner was Jordan Markle, a friend of mine. He's also in Pat's Discord. Amazing player, very talented. And then, of course, Jordan Beard, who actually won to run our regional. Jordan Markle was playing Blue-Yellow SS3, which is a common thing that you're going to see across the course of a lot of top cuts in general as we move forward. And then Jordan Beard was actually playing Blue-Red Hirudegarn. Throwback to the pre-Goten days. Essentially you're going to have like Dragon Ball Super in this format defined as pre-Goten and post-Goten. But in general, Jordan Beard won with Blue-Red Hirudegarn. I talked to him today, and I'm probably going to have him on for winning edges this week before we go into Richmond Regional, because I just want to get his perspective on the deck itself. But these guys came in, they performed really well. Jordan went 6-0 at his event, and Jordan Beard went 8-0 at Toronto. Clean sweep, won the entire event, didn't drop a single match. Guy played amazingly. But in general, those are your winners of the weekend, right? So we're going to go over our losers. People attending the Richmond Regional. And I guess you're like, why are the people attending the Richmond Regional losers this week? Well, the reason why is because your preparation doesn't really change, but you're probably hoping for something that's going to be a deck that allows you to adapt or change, or something that new that comes into the fray that just really kind of like can take the metagame by surprise and cause another shift like we had before. Because essentially we had that big shift to Blue-Yellow Hirudegarn, and then everyone teched for Blue-Yellow Hirudegarn, and then went to Blue-Yellow SS3, and essentially nothing has really changed from week to week. So we were expecting, and we were hoping for this big metagame shift, but unfortunately we didn't get one. And so the people attending Richmond Regional are going to have to deal with the fact that the format is going to be somewhat the same, unless someone's going to be able to take something that's super innovative. But right now, with the way the format currently is, which we'll go over in the format level check, there's really only so much you can do because of this triangle that you're forced into. Like, you're essentially forced into playing a blue-yellow deck because you have access to Bean and Nimbus. And if you're playing a blue-yellow deck, you might as well then just play Blue-Yellow SS3 or Blue-Yellow Hirudegarn, and you play the Storm Engine because it's going to be the most effective way to gain card advantage and board advantage on your opponent. And then you're forced into Mono-Blue SS3 or an SS3 control strategy, which, I'll go over the reasons why I prefer Mono-Blue over other types of SS3 right now. But in general, like, that's the other archetype, and the other one is like another aggressive strategy, because you could do Cell Chain, but Cell Chain loses to X, and like you can do another deck like Pan, but Pan loses to X, like, or Y, whatever. And so the format is just to the point where it's like everything is just, we've figured out that we're no longer fighting the phone booth, but now we're fighting against stuff that's just like really just defined, settled, and everything is just kind of solved at this point, unless somebody comes out and does something super crazy. One thing that was cool was I heard that one of the players that made top 8 and got their invite at the Pai Games event actually ended up playing Galactic Frieza UI with the Storm Engine as well, but just played the UI version of the deck, which is actually pretty sweet to see. Hopefully I can get that list at some point so we can add it to our own gauntlet here on the page and talk about it, theorize about it. So that, and then if you look at the Toronto regionals, yeah, it was pretty much just all Vegeta. I mean, it was all Goku, all Hirudegarn, one Vegeta, and then one explosive power Goku was pretty much the majority of their top cut. So it's like 7 SS3 Goku, 7 Hirudegarn, one Vegeta, one Goku. That from the Ultimate Box, it's kind of rough. So in general, you see that the format is kind of figured out at this point. Play the best blue leaders or get lucky, right? The MVP of the weekend is SS3 Son Goku. And so, you would be wondering, well, Blue Red Hirudegarn won Toronto. Why would the MVP be SS3 Goku? And the reason why is because if you're not playing Hirudegarn, you're playing SS3. And SS3 is the leader that makes up the majority, if not all, of the decks. And he's going to be the thing that allows you to play the most games and be able to be in most games and be competitive in most games. And so he's the MVP because he basically allows all these strategies to exist. So he allows control to exist, mid-range to exist. He can be an aggressive leader. He does it all. I mean, the guy he carries the whole team on his back, though. It used to be just singular cards, but now this leader is really taking its step to the forefront, whereas like people were saying it's not a problem. Bandai stated it's not a problem, but this is pure evidence that when you have this leader who does so many things this well with the way a format starts to evolve, this is where, like, yes, he's the MVP, but he's also a huge problem because it's just you're really getting rid of deck diversity. There's not a lot of deck diversity out there, or leader diversity out there. There's tons of deck diversity, but just not a lot of leader diversity, and it's kind of rough when you just see you just see SS3 and you see Hirudegarn, and essentially what you have is you have one leader who generates energy advantage and can do things more energy efficiently and gets extra energy for free versus the leader who draws the most cards. And so if we learn anything from previous formats, we know that if you can do the most with your energy, so let's look back at Soul Striker, right? Or have the most cards, let's look back at Vegeta, right? Those are going to be the most dominant strategies. And so now we're at that point again. But now it's even worse because of powerful effects like Goten, like Bardock, like all these strategies that allow you to compress the game into 2 to 3 turns. You basically are in the camp of, do I want more cards or do I want my energy? And so you get to pick. And right now, and as always, extra energy is always going to be king. Extra resources is always going to be king. So I think even with the flute change, you're still going to see SS3 leader be the most played leader just because it allows the most types of decks to exist and allows new archetypes to thrive the most because he's just better than the leader that the archetype is designed for. But hopefully we'll continue to see more archetypes that are pushed towards the designed leader, and hopefully they continue down the route of the design where they basically are designing these extra cards that work just with the leader, so it gives you an incentive for playing the leader, because as of right now, I still think SS3 Goku is just way too good. But in general, that is your MVP of the weekend. Sorry, it was just really a talk about the design flaws with SS3, but he was the MVP of the weekend. Tech of the weekend, Mass Saiyan, the Mysterious Warrior, is the tech of the weekend. This card on camera did so much work. You have to play it in your main deck now. Whether you're playing Blue Yellow SS3 or if you're playing something to counter Blue Yellow SS3, this is the card that you have to play in the main deck slot as your Overwhelm. It's often going to be a 2-for-1 the majority of the time, and so now this card has picked up its value that it once lost. Before, it had the issue where everyone was just playing really big threats, and you wanted to be able to deal with the really big one, threatening, one big threat on the board. Whereas now, since everyone's playing 2s and 3 drops and 1 drops, Mass Saiyan the Mysterious Warrior is always going to get his money, and he's most of the time always going to be a 2-for-1. And so this is the Overwhelm card of choice. This was the tech of the weekend. Jordan Markle had an insane weekend with this card, playing the mirror. So he played a lot of blue-yellow mirrors at the Pi Pay Games event, and this card was absolutely clutch for him. And so this was actually the tech of the weekend, in my opinion. I just think that the card is really well positioned right now. If you haven't already gotten your copies, make sure you do. Make sure you get your championship pack ones, because those look extra fine lit, as the guys at Mimo Games would say, whatever their names are now. But in general, Mass Saiyan the Mysterious Warrior is dope. You need to have it. Format level check. So here we are. We're doing our level check of the format. Number 1 is Blue-Yellow X strategy. I think that Blue-Yellow, it's kind of funny because Blue-Yellow has its own, levels. So it's level 1 is Blue-Yellow Hirudegarn, and then the deck that counters that within its own color within its own colors is Blue-Yellow SS3. So you have that there. And so level 2 is now Mono Blue. And the reason why I don't have blue-green listed or blue-red, mid-range listed is because I had this conversation earlier. If you think that Full Power Energy is the card that is going to counter the strategy, you're you're incorrect in thinking that. Full power energy can be a speed bump sometimes. Like, if anything, if you're playing as the blue-yellow deck and you already have the successor of Hope or a second Bardock in hand and you swing with the first Bardock, you will do it intentionally to force them to tap an energy. Like, intentionally, if I force you to tap your full power energy and force you to spend an energy and say you don't have the bean and you only have the full power, you're probably dead that turn. Or you're probably going to be incredibly behind. You're not going to be able to deal with the board that I'm going to set up for you to have to deal with the next turn, the following turn. Another reason why I don't like blue-green is because off the flip. So if you discard, let's say you flip green-red, you're basically dead. Or you're not going to be able to manage the board state, and the opponent's going to be able to get out of control, and they're going to kill you on the following turn. Or you can flip green-black. You can flip blue-blue. Like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with your energy setup, and I know that sounds crazy, but, like, that is something you have to take into account as we're thinking about ways that we can add additional win percentage to ourselves as playing SS3, and we can mitigate the amount of variance that's going to cause us to lose a singular game. You have to think about that. And also, like, when you really break down blue-green strategy and how its cards are basically just Vegito, right? Vegito is the win condition in the deck, right? Essentially, against the blue-yellow matchup. Well, mono-blue plays it too. And then if you tell me that King Vegeta surprise attack, well, I usually play King Vegeta surprise attack. Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's awesome. I think the card is really good. But you have to get to that point where you're at 4 energy, and I think based off the factors that I listed before, that the blue deck is going to be much better at getting to that place. And also think about, like, least coercion over full power energy. I think least coercion is just a better negate. Like, yeah, you don't kill a thing, but you get to keep your energy. And I think that keeping your energy and maintaining your energy is one of the most important things you can do. And so think about a turn where it's like your opponent attacks you, and they go to 15. You combo an Unbreakable. You still have 1 energy up. They swing again. You Sensu Bean. Now you have 2 energy up. And then they swing again. You least coercion. Now they don't have yellow. Access to yellow. Boom. Your negates were way better, way more impactful, and you got a lot more done on that turn to defend yourself as opposed to doing a full power energy. Like, it's just way more value in playing mono blue right now. And so you're trying to live long enough to get to your Vegito. And so if you're thinking about the strategy that does that, mono blue is going to give you the most consistency when it comes to do your offensive spells, being able to be cast, and making sure that you live. And so take that into account, and then also think about the way blue-green works. Blue-green threats are Kami's Power Piccolo, Anilaza. Kami's Power Piccolo is great, but he requires another battle card in the tail to be able to make it work, and you can't spend your energy on that many threats over the course of the game if you're playing against blue-yellow. And if you think about Anilaza, Anilaza is great, but he's really great when he's not attacking, and if you can't attack the opponent, there's really no point in playing the card, because you need to be able to start reversing pressure so the opponent now has to defend their life total, because if you don't do that, you're never going to be able to win the game. And then we go all the way to the 5-drop, which is just going to be Universe 7 Beerus. If Universe 7 Beerus is just the threat, then why not just play mono blue anyway, because you're playing the same exact threat at the 5 energy spot. And you have better 4s if you just play blue, because you can also play Bergamo in your 4 spot, and he's an impactful 4-drop. Anyway, I digress. But so, mono blue is the choice if you're trying to play control. If you want to play mid-range, I think that blue-red is a really great mid-range strategy, but the problem is blue-red gets eaten alive by blue-yellow, because if they open up double red, if they open up double blue, you're never going to be able to play your spells that you need to do on offense if you're opening up double blue. You're never going to have access to Topo if you open up double blue. If you open up red-red, you don't have access to Bean. Again, there's just a lot of variance off the flip. If you open red-black, the game is probably just over. So, again, mono blue, I think, is the level 2 deck. Sorry for that rant. Number 3, blue-red aggro. This is the reason why Jordan Beard was able to do so well, because blue-red aggro checks a lot of the boxes, and blue-red aggro can beat mono blue, because it has a ton of combo power, and because when you think about, like, Bardock the Progenitor and Scrambling Sun Goten versus Saiyan Kaba, or 2 Saiyan Kabas, right, with the access to Unyielding Spirit Trunks, like, Saiyan Kaba is going to draw you a lot of cards, and it puts a lot of pressure on the opponent because they're 15Ks automatically. And so if you swing with 1 and then Unyielding, it's now a 20K double striker coming at the opponent. That's a lot of pressure. And also, think about what you can do if you're playing blue-red. Say if you're playing blue-red Hirudegarn. You know, I was talking to Jordan Beard earlier today, and essentially he would just maintain his life total. He'd maintain his life total like 6, 8, because like if you're a leader that has 8 life, and you can just defend your life total with like Raging Spirit Sun Gohans and negates and Senzu Beans and super combos, whatever you need to do, like if you can maintain a pretty high life total, even if it's at 4 before you awaken, you have plenty of time to deploy that Chain Zeno to reset the game when they have a low life total and they're already flipped. So blue-red aggro is in a really great spot right now, and not a lot of people are talking about it. So hopefully this tournament with, you know, Jordan Beard doing so well will be a reminder that red-blue, like, flute aggro decks are a thing that you need to be thinking about in this format. And if you're not thinking about it, you're truly doing yourself a disservice, because those decks are still incredibly powerful. Multiple combos, multiple intensifying power trunks will win you games. Especially what I found as playing as blue-yellow, I hate getting my life critted. Like, hate it. If I'm playing Blue SS3 and they play an Intensifying Power Trunks and I can't defend it and I have to eat that, that's one less card I'm drawing, which could be really impactful over the course of the game. So think about that as you move forward. This is your format level check as we go into Richmond. Be prepared. Last thing I want to talk about are just two decks that I've been working on. One is my own version of Blue Yellow SS3, and one is an updated mono blue list. Again, I'm really focusing on these two decks as I'm getting ready for this week, because I'm trying to get my buddy Thomas Ingle an invite to Nationals, whereas myself, I'm just going to play whatever other deck that he decides not to play, because I really just want to be competitive, but at the same time have some fun. So here are the two decks. So the deck on the left side of the screen is, I like to call it SS3 Bulma Weenies. The reason why is because we're playing the same exact Storm strategy, but we're also playing 3 Explorer Bulmas in the main. You're probably asking me why. Why is that? Well, because Explorer Bulma does essentially the same exact thing, or it's almost like a better version of Videl, because it's going to cost you a total of 1 energy, draw you a card, and it's a 10k. So you have the ability to swing with it. It's a threatening attacker. It makes your board be able to expand, and it's something you can do for 3 energy. And that was one thing when playtesting the other versions of the deck, I felt like the deck lacked, was once I got to 3 energy, I was never really doing anything or using all my energy efficiently and effectively. I was only using 2 energy over the course of the turn. And so it's like, if you play the Explorer Bulma, you're now putting yourself with the 2 energy that you expected anyway. And with Beans and Unyielding, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes you may be able to deploy multiple Bulmas in a turn, because you can just basically like play a Bulma, swing with it, Unyielding, untap, play another Bulma, and you're doing the same exact thing that you would with like the Bardock Goten engine, except you're doing with Bulma as well. So Bulma just kind of fills in as like the extra copies of like Goten and Bardock and Videl, which is actually pretty sweet. And it's been really good in testing so far, because like I said, you can get a ton of attackers online and get a ton of swings at the opponent, and they won't have anything to do. This deck also, I talked to one of my patrons because I wrote an article on the version of the deck I was playing earlier today where I was running Unbreakables, and I talked about in the article how I was thinking about putting something instead of Unbreakable to reduce the variance on my flips, and he messaged me with his list. And basically, he put in Raging Spirit Sun Gohans. And I thought that was actually brilliant, because like it's blue. And in testing, Unbreakable wasn't really that much of an impactful card, because no matter what, I'm drawing a lot of cards in this deck, so I don't really need another card that draws me a card. I think that Raging Spirit Sun Gohan is the perfect spot, because it just allows me to put a threat on the board that the opponent wasn't expecting. So that is the list on the left. I do play one Mirror Creator Absorbed as a finisher with Further Instruction Champa and Battering. There'll be a lot of times where this actually comes up as your way to end the game, and it does happen pretty frequently. And then my other Overwhelm card is Massing the Mysterious Warrior. Perfect in the mirror, because like it's going to come down to who can do the Nimbus, and once you Nimbus, you need to be able to have the follow-up to be able to kill some of their boards. So you end up killing, 2 of their Gotens with your Massing the Mysterious Warrior, or you end up killing a Goten and a Videl, and then that's how you start to take over the game, is because now it's like, okay, I Nimbus, so I stifled your turn entirely, and now I've just essentially wiped your board clean. The other thing that's noticeable in this list, for Successor Hope, this is another recommendation by the patron Brian. He actually stated, he brought up a really good point that like 4 Successor versus 4 Bardock, it's essentially the same exact thing, but Successor allows you to find your Bardock, your Adopted Father Son Gohan, and if you post-board have the Ultimate Potential SS2 Son Gohan, you then can basically just side in the Son Gohan, and you have more tutors to be able to get it for you. So in general, I think this deck is really well positioned. I think it's something you should test over the course of the week if you get a chance to, and really just experiment with that Explorer Bulma, because the card does a ton of work. And it does exactly what you want, which it stays on plan, it stays on theme, it can pressure the opponent, and it just allows you to expand your board state, so your opponent really only has so many things they can do to deal with it. And the list on the right is just an updated version of Mono Blue SS3. So this is a deck I was testing earlier tonight against Blue Yellow SS3 and against Blue Yellow in general, and I was actually finding myself to have a better win percentage than I was last week when I had a different version of the list. And really the only thing that I did that was different is I kept some number of flutes. I kept it up to 3, and I was really finding myself like, Yatrobe felt kind of underwhelming, because once I spent 2 energy on it, even though I got the untap, they would just flute it back to my hand, and so it felt kind of neg a lot of the time, even though they -1 with the flute. But in general, I just felt like I lost a card, and like, yeah, it's a 5k combo, but I really was counting on Yatrobe to buy me an extra turn, and Outlaw no longer is. And so one thing I did is I'm keeping the 2 Massing and Mysterious Warriors, but I'm trying out Supreme Kai Time Light's Guide. And the main reason why is because comboed with Flute, you're drawing a lot of cards. And that's one thing that you had to think about when playing this deck, is how are you going to keep maintaining hand advantage or carded, or just keep maintaining cards to be able to defend your Vegito, and being able to play the Supreme Kai in time, draw a card, and then be able to give your leader 5k, swing with your leader, draw a card, and then be able to flute the Supreme Kai back is actually really powerful, because it's like going to draw you the extra card, so it's almost like playing a Scientist Fu, but you get to put it back in your hand, you can play it again, and it's cheaper, so it's only 3. And it can help you just continue to fuel your overwhelm, because it's like after you play this, get rid of 3 cards, you now have the flute in the discard pile, and then so whatever you combo on your opponent's turn can get you up to 3, 4, 5, then you can play your Mass Saiyan if you need to, right? So I'm trying this out, and this was actually an idea I wanted to test after I talked to Jordan Beard, because he actually played 2 of these in his Blue-Red Hirudegarn list, which is actually pretty dope, because he explained to me the way it worked. He would play this so he could pressure the opponent's leader, even if he was, not awakened. And so I always liked this card, but I really wanted to find a reason to put it in a deck, and honestly, Supreme Kai Time Lights Guide kind of plays the part of Majin Buu, but it's free. So it's even better. So I can use all my energy on something like an awe-inspiring Vegito, but still have the Supreme Kai in time to draw the extra card, flute it back to hand, draw more cards. So in general, this is the mono blue list. Awakening stuff, I'm playing 3 Sidra, 2 Oath's Power Tapion, 4 SSB Vegito, 2 Trio to Dangerous Bergamo, 3 Vegeta Princess Speed. I still am in love with Princess Speed in this deck. It just does everything you want, especially in these matchups where they go long, you need to draw extra cards. 2 Beerus Universe 7, and then 2 Dragon Fist SS3 Goku for the blue-green matchups. I'm also main decking 2 Mafuba. I think just Mafuba is too powerful not to play, and it just wins a lot of games for you. I've been talking to a lot of people about this card, and I feel like it's the sweet spot. You'll notice that I don't play any group leader peel-offs, because it's really not that good. Like, I know people were like freaking out about it on camera at St. Louis, but when your opponent basically just swings with a Bardock, you peel off, you name swap, they just combo the Unyielding, they flute their Bardock back to hand, so they had an excuse to use the flute on the Bardock to draw an extra card anyway, and then they replay the Bardock, and then it's like, okay, cool, all right. You're just doing it again anyway. And I just spent an energy, and if I don't have a Sensubine, I'm probably just dead. But in general, these are some decks that you should probably try out this week. Another thing about this deck is 3 Majin Fire, West Supreme Kai. This card has been the stones, especially when you have a Sensubine in hand, because you can basically play this down. Even if you're playing against Storm, you can take the first 2 life to put yourself to 4, awaken, then Sensubine, untap 2 energy, and then you're good. I mean, yeah, they might end up killing the West Supreme Kai, but if they don't kill the West Supreme Kai, then you're in good shape to play your turn 2 Vegito, or your turn 2 Bergamo, which is exactly where you want to be in this deck, is accelerating your threats. And I also like West Supreme Kai in the mirror matches, because it's going to allow you to get your 4s and 5s faster, which is exactly what you want to be doing in those matchups, because you're going to have stuff to face like Foreseeing Hit, you're going to have to face Kami's Power Piccolo, Anilaza, and you need to be able to have a way to be able to get to your high drops faster, especially your Beerus Universe 7 Divine Vanquisher, because he's going to kind of even those matchups a lot for you because of what he does to the board, and of course get to your Dragon Fist even faster. But in general, these are 2 decks I'm going to be testing over the course of the week, and figure out which one is I'm going to be playing and which one my buddy Baby Girl Tom Singles is going to be playing. But in general, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed me talking about the format. Hopefully there wasn't too many rants in there. Hopefully this video wasn't too sloppy, based off of me stumbling over my words. But in general, I appreciate everything you do for me. Thank you so much for the support. I did a lot of testing over this weekend. Tons of it, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All I did was just grind games. And then on Saturday, of course, I went to the Magic Grand Prix, which I had a really good time at the Grand Prix. I played Mono Red Wizards, which I had I was really good at playing the deck. I had a lot of fun playing the deck. It's really aggressive. And I started out the tournament off really well, but then I ended up losing back-to-back rounds to Red Black Aggro, the best deck in the format, and I learned a lot of lessons from that I could apply to Dragon Ball Super, where it's basically like, if you want to expect to do well, you have to play the best cards. And if you're not playing the best cards, you're just giving a win percentage a lot of the time. So the fact that I didn't register a deck with red and black cards, and I didn't register a deck with Teferi Hero Dominaria, I was kind of like setting myself behind the curve, because I already knew how those matchups played out, and I really was just doing it because Mono Red Wizards was cheap, and it was my first standard constructed event. So, in general, I learned a lot from that. And also, Magic events, they run those things beautifully. ARG needs to take notes. ARG needs to go to some Magic Grand Prix and check it out, because Judd staff was awesome. They were fully staffed. They had plenty of people there. The rounds went by fast. Like, they were getting rounds over with, done with, and we had the next round up ASAP. But in general, overall, good experience. I had a wonderful weekend. Again, thank you guys so much for everything you do. Thank you so much for the support. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great week. You'll probably see me again in video form before Richmond. If not, I will see you at Richmond. I will be there. I'm excited to see all of you. Thank you so much. Okay, bye!